welcome to Chop Greens. I'm your host, Philip Amerine, sitting alongside Gareth Boucher.
There's an echo in here.
There is.
Must be bouncing off the beer can.
Must be bouching off the
beer
can. I don't know. I'm not too proud of that one.
It's all right.
How are you, good sir?
You know, I'm doing really, really well. I've had a great week. We're going to talk about a great movie. I'm a little jealous of the male lead, as I was just talking about. Now I'm actually really depressed to find out that he and I are the same age. We've had the same amount of time on this earth, and he has accomplished so much more than me. But you know what? Besides that, I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm a little depressed now that you brought that up.
Because you're older than me, so you've had even more time.
I've had nearly double the amount of time. I'm like Michael Keaton.
Essentially 3 times the amount of time.
Right,
nothing.
Right. You're the Tom Holland to my Michael Keaton. I'm like the old guy in this film. So, so we're talking about Spiderman Homecoming today. So, welcome to the podcast. If you did not read the label and you were just blindly following us and you saw the SoundCloud notification pop up, that's what we're talking about. Tom Holland plays the reincarnation of Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Michael Keaton plays Adrian Toomes / Vulture. Robert Downey Jr. is, of course, a bit more than a cameo in this one. Tony Stark, Iron Man.
Got a big role, yeah.
Marissa Tomei plays Aunt May or May Parker. Jon Favreau plays Happy Hogan. And Zendaya plays Michelle. Donald Glover plays Aaron Davis. Just kind of hitting through the big hitters. Oh, and then Laura Harrier plays Liz. And then where's that Hawaiian Pacific? You know what I'm trying to talk about?
Yeah, he's
is that Jacob? Is that Ned? Was his name Ned?
Yeah, his name is Ned. His name is Jacob Batalon.
Batalon, yes.
He was great.
Okay, so yeah, let's go down the list. Tom Holland playing a very young Peter Parker. They really cut the fat on this one. They made sure to give themselves as much space as possible for the rest of this franchise to age out here, because they started him out as a high school freshman.
I was going to say, by cut the fat, do you mean the fact that he had no fat on his body whatsoever? I mean,
yes.
But symbolically as well. Symbolically,
of course, yes. So we kind of go into this whole thing with, Tom Holland plays a freshman, so he's 15, 16?
He plays a 15-year-old kid in the movie, yeah.
So but it's an interesting dynamic where this is the first version of Peter Parker where we don't have the entire backstory. We know of it, we're knowledgeable of it. And
that's what's great, is that this is the third actor to play Spider-Man in, I think, 5 or 6 years. Whenever Spider-Man 3 came out, then Andrew Garfield, then now. We don't need the backstory, and also it doesn't work really with the MCU. I mean, it could, but it's just too much, and they're just trying to fit him into the Avengers series. So they just get it going. They give you, I mean, if anyone doesn't know about Spider-Man, they give you enough, and I think, honestly, Tom Holland's performance has enough charm that, like, you kind of get it. You don't need to know the whole, like, Uncle Ben was shot on the sidewalk, and then he had great power and great responsibility, and then he went to go avenge him, and then the Green Goblin came with Harry Osborn, and no, he's a kid, he's in high school, he's trying to balance being a superhero and being a kid. That's, like, what Spider-Man's all about. I love it. You don't need everything else.
Right. They essentially have this quasi-established Spider-Man that we're now working with. It's a humble beginnings, but it's also taking charge of a character where we know his foundations of a story. We've altered them a bit, and we saw the small tinkerings of that in Captain America: Civil War, where we're introduced to the character first in a separate film. We're kind of given a little bit of backstory there. Then we go to Spider-Man Homecoming. We're given back, again, just whatever's necessary in case somebody missed Civil War. And with a lot of these MCU films, Marvel Cinematic Universe, for those who are not hip to the lingo here. For the entire embroaching universe, if you have not seen all the films, a lot of these intertwining films that, in case you miss one, you don't want to be left behind and lost. So you have to give your audience somewhat of a backstory, but not long enough to where you lose audience members of, like, I've seen this already.
What's great about this one, it's not like really Civil War in the fact that, like, you needed to watch all the other ones just to really get it. This one, it works great on its own.
Yes, and I wrote down that the intro, It was actually a very long movie. It was a 2-hour...
15-minute about.
Yeah, 15-minute movie. So, I mean, this is pretty spacious.
Mm-hmm.
But it held out and held a story very well.
Yeah.
And the first part of this story that we're given, it feels like they're cramming a lot into you. That they're jam-packing with a hammer everything in your brain.
Because of that whole vlog montage that happened.
Yes. And it's done well to where...
It was interesting. I've never seen that, especially in a movie as big as this. Something so goofy and new as compared to like a really dramatic superhero opening. You know?
Right, and essentially what they do is they pull clips and home videos, quote unquote, which is
it's basically the whole first 8 minutes of the movie is getting you up to speed on all the backstory, and Peter Parker has been filming it all like on his iPhone, and it's just like his vlogs.
But the backstory only goes as far as Civil War, which is the first time that we've seen Peter Parker in this version of him.
Yeah.
So we go into that, and it's home videos, and it brings us from then to now, which is interesting because even when they start in the beginning, they even start earlier. They start where the first Avengers movie came out.
Yeah, way back when.
And even though it was a little, it was a little cheap. It didn't feel like it. Where they're giving you this vast history and incorporating so many other elements, you feel as if you have a familiarity with these characters on their own, but you don't. You're still learning about what the difference is with this version of Spider-Man, what the difference is with this villain, what the difference is in this particular story. But there's so much where they're saying this is how this was also an after effect from the Avengers from the film and the destruction and carnage, and so going in from there you just have this relatability to where you remember that happening from the first movie. It gives you a bit of history and sustenance to fulfill you going forward, where you feel satisfied with that backstory, and it's not just a villain is born, a hero is born, they come together. Yeah. This actually made it so that both the villain and the hero of this specific story have a very good maturity.
Yeah, give them both very justifiable motivations, which is cool. It's such a treat with these Disney Marvel films, like when they connect them all like that, and it makes a villain so much more human and fun to watch when you can identify with what they're going through. And I think that they did a great job with Michael Keaton with this. This isn't really a spoiler. So basically in the beginning, Vulture, Michael Keaton's character, is part of a cleanup crew, and they're cleaning up the city of New York.
Yeah, let's talk about Vulture.
After New York has that big battle in the first Avengers movie, and there's alien weapons laying around. Well, Tony Stark's people come and kick him out, and they say, "Hey, we got the cleanup job here. You guys aren't authorized to be here." But apparently Michael Keaton invested all of his money and put his family's resources on the line just to get this job so he can make all this money, and it didn't work out. So he ends up getting mad at the man, pretty much, at Tony Stark and all the rich people, and he takes one of the alien weapons secretly, and that's how he becomes Vulture. And it makes for a classic villain, because you know that what he's doing is wrong, but you understand why he's doing it. So it's not like the Ant-Man villain or a few of the other lame Marvel villains. I thought that he had a good arc. He wasn't fantastic. Michael Keaton was great. He didn't have the writing that Loki did, but Vulture, I don't know what you thought about him. I thought he was definitely an above average villain. I enjoyed what they did with the character for sure.
Gary, if you may, let me just step up to the podium. I often hand off the torch to you in some respects, and I say, take me to the promised land. Let me go forth on my Spider-Man love here. So for one, I've always loved the Vulture as a character, but never really saw him as a realistic villain. Much like Rhino is a villain in the Spider-Man universe, I didn't see him being an actual villain because the way he's portrayed in the comics is, specifically for Rhino, it's a suit that's morphed onto him, and he's always in this Rhino suit, and it's so comic booky and stereotypical that you'll accept it in a comic book, but in the movie it might not.
Doesn't work.
It just doesn't work. That it doesn't come off correctly.
Yeah.
But then they adapted that in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it actually was Paul Giamatti inside a robotic Rhino thing, and of course we didn't see the end of that, but it was viable, and I enjoyed a retelling of that character. Bring it now to the Spider-Man Homecoming. the Vulture was in a Vulture suit where you can look it up, and he's in this vintage green feathered bodysuit unitard.
Yeah.
And it's this old man who's must be Caillou's grandfather because he's bald, and he just totally flies everywhere. And he's a smart villain, but he's also kind of lame. But it works in the comic books. So now we go to the film version. I absolutely loved their retelling of it. It was so original to create it's hard to put it into words, but the way that they bionically created a Vulture suit, on top of it, the way that they gave it an 8-year window, while it fast forwards us and doesn't give us everything we may want, every single detail. What I love what they did with the character was that whenever he and Spider-Man come into contact with each other, not only does he fight like you feel a bird/vulture would, and I that was
reaching down, snatching people with his talons and thrashing them,
and very animalistic. Where you see in the bird kingdom, where they go down and grab their prey, bring them all the way to the toppest height and drop them. And birds are known to do that with crabs and things with shells just to break them. And so in my mind, it was just such a beautiful. A simile and things where they just totally nailed it on both visually, realistically, and even going beyond that, adding some depth in a fighter style to where he's a veteran. He's done this for 8 years. He's been flying around actually doing this, and it was just all the ways, and then of course Michael Keaton just totally
nailed it.
Nailed the role. I mean, he there was maybe 1 or 2 lines where I actually did laugh for all the wrong reasons.
He's so it's because Michael Keaton. He's so weird. Like he's so weird to watch.
Yeah,
he's so quirky. I love watching him. Like he's not like a traditional villain type. Like he's such an interesting actor.
And he has to know that the assimiles to Birdman would definitely come out.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's all I could think the whole time was, oh my God, this is Birdman. You know.
This is Birdman without the weird, unexplainable ending, but but no, totally nails it. And I loved that it was a new villain. I loved that they had it was a totally original and unique take on Spider-Man, and that we're no longer in this foundational setup piece trilogy. It's now, let's accept Spider-Man for who he is. You know, a tough cookies. If you've never seen Spider-Man by now, just go watch the originals with Peter Parker and grow up like we all did.
Yeah.
And just take him for what he is, and we'll go forward.
You know, as far as Vulture goes, I don't think I liked him as much as you did, but not necessarily because I thought he was lame. I thought his character wasn't made that important because that was really only half of the protagonist-antagonist battle. I thought that the movie was as much about Spider-Man versus Vulture as it was about
Spider-Man versus
himself. Yeah, like Peter Parker that's what was cool.
Fair. I think where most of my awe and shock go towards is just the fact that they were able to bring about such a lame villain and
make him
a
very serviceable movie villain for sure. But I as I was saying, I really enjoyed the Peter Parker versus himself uphill battle. But one quip I had with the movie was like the suit, like all the technology in it.
Yeah.
Too much for me, but they make it work with the whole, well, you know what? If you're nothing without this suit, then you don't deserve it anyways. And so that's what most of the movie is Peter trying to sneak around Tony and do things that he can't do. And
isn't that a fascinating thing where movies so incredibly self-aware that they know that if you love Spider-Man, eventually you're putting too much too fast into a character, and by the point that you realize that, and you're saying to yourself, this is just too weird. The eyes are self-adjusting. Mm-hmm. It's got, a GPS tracker, and it's got also some recon missions.
It's got like a Siri in there. It's got like 100 different websites, like 1,000 combinations. Yes. But then you realize that, and then, Peter Parker's done something wrong. They take the suit away because he's too much of a child to have it. Then you're like, it's part of the story.
Yes, by the time it becomes too much of the story of where Spider-Man isn't anything without the suit, it truly does bring that element of realism. So now let's move on to Well, I guess the big question that everybody that kind of had going in from Civil War was not how is Tom Holland going to play Spider-Man, because I thought that he did a serviceable job and
serviceable in this movie.
Yeah,
just serviceable or more than serviceable.
I thought he hit the tone correctly. I didn't love him. I didn't hate him.
Really?
It's hard though.
I loved him. I thought he was fantastic.
See, once you go to Robert Downey and somebody is the embodiment of a role, I can never love anybody as much as Robert Downey Jr. is.
But
better.
We haven't had 3 Iron Mans. We've had 3 Spider-Mans in the modern era, post-2000s. We've had a lot of Spider-Mans.
I thought you meant movies. I was about to
no,
correct you, but no, you're correct.
We haven't had 3 actors playing him. It's hard. It's unfair to him because we're always going to be like comparing him to Andrew and Toby, but...
And a lot of people on social media and elsewhere say #not my Spider-Man with regards to Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire stole some hearts in his performance that I was not aware of.
I actually think that Tobey is still like in general those movies. You just have
to separate them.
Those, they're all so different. Toby, and they're each different tones. Those ones are very dramatic, a little bit of screwball comedy, but very melodramatic.
Yeah, what this particular representation of Spider-Man nailed effectively was that witty banter that Spider-Man is known for in the comics. What part of what's different from Spider-Man than the other comics was within the fight panels of Spider-Man, you had countless banter where the villain is visibly getting annoyed and yet Spider-Man continues to talk, and it's addressed within the comic world of Spider-Man that's a fighting style to where you're just getting so annoyed you can't even fight anymore because you're like, just be quiet, and you're focusing on making him quiet and you're not doing everything to the right degree.
Toby's Spider-Man didn't have that.
No, it was very sound.
Andrew's Spider-Man did, but I didn't think that they did anything else right. But this one had a good combination of like a nerdy, down-to-earth Peter Parker. But when he got in that suit, he was fun, he was cocky, he was throwing jabs at everyone, and I thought... I think you kind of touched on it. He got the tone of Spider-Man right. They didn't get the story, quote unquote, right, but the feel was fantastic.
I think they got the story right in this film.
I'm saying as far as
Amazing Spider-Man. No, that was
awful.
That was by far one of the worst franchises. It's not. It's
when I say
unto itself.
When I say they didn't get the story right, I mean they didn't do the by the book Spider-Man story, which we kind of glossed over a little bit, but it still works great. I mean, they didn't.
It works because of that. Is my point. They didn't need a Mary Jane. They didn't need a Green Goblin. They didn't need a
Harry Osborn,
a spider to bite him.
They didn't need Uncle Ben. They didn't need any.
No, it was all. But also, one thing that they might not have needed was a typical Aunt May. Mm-hmm. And that's just I'm still debating within myself. Marissa Tomei, was that a smart choice, a bad choice, a good choice?
The Aunt May character?
Yeah.
She's kind of filler, you know? She's a one-dimensional character. She's there to give 2 lines of advice and be the object of Tony's lustful eyes she didn't really do anything. That's about it.
Yeah, part of my problem is if you're going to make such a radical change as that, and it would be different if it was...
She's Uncle a different
Ben
Aunt May.
Or something.
Usually Aunt May is like young, or no, I'm sorry, she's not young. She's usually old.
That's my point.
Frail.
That's my point. Is that you're taking such a step away from the typical characterization, which it is, and it's not like this is a reincarnation of 50 years ago where you kind of don't have to address it. But since it's such a recent memory in our mind, it's so jarring to see a younger version of Aunt May that... Yeah. To me, I would hope that you would justify it in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's making Aunt May what's another word for kick butt aunt. Yeah. That would just totally help Peter, or this is a more talkative Aunt May, or this is just to have her, other than just the fact that she's not old, be the reason why you picked her.
That I think it has to do with Disney going many different ways with this movie, like choosing to have a lot more like
just really wanting it to stand alone.
Mature humor. I think it's also because this movie, to me it was almost like a PG-13 Superbad. I think that's why half the movie works is because it's like a serviceable high school comedy just by itself. Besides the superhero part, it's really funny, and it's very like high school like boy humor a lot of the time. And so having like the hot aunt in there kind of adds to that vibe of, oh my god, Peter, your aunt's so hot. So I think that they did that to go along with that vibe.
Well, you mentioned it. It's high school. It's set in high school. It's about high school. It's even called Homecoming. Which happens in high school.
I love it.
Which means Gary Boucher.
Are you asking me to Homecoming?
No, it's not. No.
Dang it!
But it means that we must and have to have children actors. What is my number one cringeworthy?
Who was a child in this movie? Who was it?
That's true. Tom Holland was
21.
He was playing a 15-year-old, but it actually works. He's like Tobey Maguire where he's ageless.
Yeah.
But the point is that we have a couple of standout performances. For better or worse.
Okay.
So we have Zendaya as Michelle.
She was funny. She was
totally
awesome.
nailed her role for what little she had.
I can't wait for her to have a bigger role next
Much
time.
as Marissa Tomei did not. She's just kind of there and kind of the standard, I can't hurt Aunt May character, the reason for not doing something as opposed to doing something.
Yeah.
Zendaya, or Michelle's role rather, totally nailed every appearance she had, and there was actually a lot of moments where she was the highlight of a scene.
Oh yeah, she stood out way more than the character of Liz, who was...
That's my next one, Liz.
Yeah, I mean...
Laura Harrier.
I don't know if they did that purposely to like... Because... Alright, I'm not going to drop this bombshell.
Yeah.
But... I think that they might have set it up that way, but Liz's character was pretty hollow as well. She was... I guess that has to do with part of Peter's development, was that he didn't even really know this girl. He was just super into her because she was popular and cute, but she didn't have much of a character besides she was popular and cute. Until the end there, but that's when Peter started to develop and change.
There were two pretty big bombshells.
I almost dropped them both.
I know you did.
There's some great twists in this movie, for sure.
Okay, so there's one that was epic.
Yeah.
The first bombshell, which I don't want to write on this too much because if you haven't seen the movie, then it's just going to get annoying. But if you have seen it, then either way, you're just like, okay, stop saying bombshell.
Yeah.
But anyways, the first suspenseful moment that they show us was I did not have any hint.
Yeah.
Or idea that it was coming. But what was beautiful about it is that they alluded to it throughout the entire film.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until the second. I was like, oh.
And once it happened, you start going back through the movie just really fast, and it hits you of, yes, that was the motivation for a lot of scenes, for a lot of characters, and it makes complete sense. It wasn't just forcefully thrown in there. Yeah. And then finally the end reveal was very much of Dark Knight Rises, of just the last moment. Oh, what? You're an orphan. What's your name? Robin.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. But and then finally we go to, and I just had him, and now I'm going to lose him. Who was Ned? Who's Ned? Jacob Batalon.
Yes.
Okay, so for me, his character has a complete and
he was the Gimli man.
It was an interesting.
He was
character.
the comic relief. He was hilarious. I love when they take a complete unknown. This kid never done anything before, and he nailed his role. The chemistry between him and Tom Holland was fantastic.
Genuine.
And he was perfect
genuine.
As the nerdy, like, chubby best friend who just wants to help, and he thinks everything is so cool. Like, I thought he was great.
And my biggest kudos to him was, at first I found him completely annoying, and I hated that he was in the movie. And then it moved. No. It moved to where it actually worked for me. Slowly, scene by scene, chisel by chisel, he broke me down, and I was finally
like, all right, you're funny.
Okay, I can
like
actually
you.
accept this character. It's a good choice. I was wrong. Take my money and popcorn.
Never popcorn.
Always popcorn. Also, I did really enjoy this film. I just really loved this film. It was genuine to the Spider-Man roots. It did not frustrate me. In fact, there was a lot of times where they alluded to something and then they just pulled back the curtain and they're just like, just kidding. And it was totally fine. And there was a lot of moments throughout the entire film that you thought, uh-oh, will they go push it too far? Is this going to get to become a bad movie? And then it grabs you back into reality. And it was well written, not the best dialogue to dialogue, but because again, some of Michael Keaton's lines, it was a mix of him delivering / the actual line itself.
Yeah.
A couple when he first says, "Good old Spider-Man."
And only Michael Keaton can take such cheesy villain dialogue and make it so fun. You know,
and it was appropriate.
Looks
I suppose,
like it's
but it was
a good
still...
old Spider Boy coming back again.
Yes, and it was funny, but I don't know whether it was supposed to be or not. And even it was just it hit the correct comedic tone throughout the entire film, from beginning to end. When the last post credit scene happened, and it's Captain America saluting you. You know, it's fantastic. I don't think that's ruining anything. It's not worth the wait if you want.
I didn't see the second post credit scene, so there you go.
So then there you go. I ruined it for you.
Yeah, great. The movie's over.
Yeah, it did not. You're good. Okay, so outside of that, I gotta ask you, Gary. So we both alluded to the fact that we thought it was good.
Yes.
But how good is the question? On a 0 to
how
100
good out of
Boucher
100
score, what is your Boucher score? How many Boucher bars?
How many Boucher bars? Let's see. Calculating. 87.
Oh, okay.
87 out of 100. A little overlong. Not the best villain, a good villain, but super, super hilarious. A great Spider-Man movie. It fits very nicely in the MCU. I would totally watch it again. Super hilarious. You go.
Yeah, it was a beautiful cog in the entire franchise.
Yes.
Yeah. as a good friend of mine once wrote. But no, I would have to give it... Oh, man. It's right up there. And I'm afraid that I'm going to give it too much credit just because I loved what they did with Vulture. I cannot sing enough praises about how well they did that character justice and then some. So
you can sing as many praises as you want.
As a Spider-Man fan, I am so proud and happy to call this movie my own.
Oh my God, you need a tissue. We gotta get a tissue for this man. He's crying.
Oh, I'm crying. Okay, there's moisture on my cheek. All right. Anyways, I will give it... I'm fighting within myself. I'll give it a 90.
A 90.
A 90.
Right
I'll
there.
give it a 90.
We're neck and neck, man.
Yeah.
We're right there.
I was debating 89, 91. I'll split the difference.
Nice.
So 90, excellent job. An excellent job by Robert Downey Jr. Makes more than a cameo appearance in this film and actually does as much as you can without taking over the film yourself.
Yeah.
All right, so Gary, we are going to head over to Gimme 5. And while we're on the break, I want to hear who your top 5 villains of all time are.
Right now,
right after this.
Red Ribbon Realty Group at HomeSmart is a full-service real estate team of Phoenix natives with over 15 years of experience in the industry. When you work with them, you have 2 full-time realtors representing your best interests throughout your entire transaction, whether you are selling, buying, or renting. They also believe in supporting their community. Use code word chopped greens and Red Ribbon Realty Group will donate 15% of their net commission from your transaction to the nonprofit charity of your choice. Visit their website at www.redribbongroup.com and find them on Facebook. You can also email them at info@redribbongroup.com or call them at 602-888-6638. Red Ribbon Realty Group. Trust. Commitment. Home.
Wow. The paywall on this podcast. If you were to pay for what goes on in between before and after this podcast...
got no idea.
Yeah, but that was a great list right there.
It was.
Spoiler alert, Joker's on both of our lists.
Yes.
All right. Gary, this is Give Me 5, the part of the show where I've got 5 questions for you, you got 5 questions for me. We don't know what they are, but we'll answer them honestly.
Honestly, as always.
As always. honest as Abe Lincoln. Would you like to go first or second today?
You know, I will concede to you today.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm going to let you go first.
All right, Gary, unless you have been living under a rock, under the sea, near a pineapple, you must know that the biggest event in boxing is finally being promoted. Mayweather versus McGregor is going to be huge.
It's going to be huge!
And the fight hype leading up to the fight is exceeding all expectations. Both men stand to win a lot of money. However, only Mayweather stands to lose for the first time in his career, in his professional boxing career. Which will be the main reason a percentage of the people will pay $99 for this fight. Gary, outside of this match between these two men, who in this world would you most enjoy seeing lose?
So, you said outside of this match. I'm just going to throw in there the back of my mind.
Because everybody wants to say
back of my
Mayweather,
mind, I'm going to spend that money just for the 0.05% chance that Mayweather loses, because that would be amazing. But besides that, you know what's so funny? This is all like last year stuff, but the freaking Patriots and the Warriors. I'm a hater. I don't want to see them win anymore. I want LeBron to win. I wanted Matt Ryan to win, and now that they haven't, I'm really, really, really upset about it.
You want LeBron and Paul George to go to the Lakers,
yes,
and Boogie Cousins to join the Lakers
Wait,
as well.
no.
And then it's the super
He's got to
team.
win in Cleveland. He's got to win 10 more in Cleveland, just so I can shut everybody up.
That's never happening. He'll still be a statue in Cleveland with only one, so good for him.
He's got to get at least one more.
Oh, yeah. Well, he'll get one more, just not in Cleveland. Your turn.
Really interesting article I read. The website Ranker did a poll of the people who enjoy the Transformers movies, people who actually claim to really, really like the Transformers movies.
Add Luke to that list.
He likes those movies.
Yes, as revealed in the last podcast.
Oh boy, Luke, I'm sorry for you. So, they made a little metric about the pop culture interests of fans of the Transformers series, like their favorite comedians, movies, all that good stuff. So I'm going to give you questions. Two of these things are false. One of them is true. Think about the taste of people who would like the Transformers movies.
Okay.
So for example, number one. Who is considered the best living comedian among Transformers fans? Is it Jeff Foxworthy, Adam Sandler, or Larry the Cable Guy?
That's very interesting that you would put Jeff Foxworthy and Larry the Cable Guy in there. That leads me to believe that it's one of those two, since they're so closely associated.
They are very similar.
Ooh, I would go... Larry the Cable Guy's only in Tow Mater outside of that, so I would go Jeff Foxworthy. Final answer?
It's actually Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler is considered the best comedian among Transformers fans. Number two, who is considered the best living actor among Transformers fans? Owen Wilson, David Spade, or Vin Diesel?
That's just awful.
These are all viable too. Like
I enjoy
none of these
Owen
are
Wilson.
surprising.
He's not one of the greatest actors alive. There's no way anybody remembers David Spade. He's too outdated. So I'm gonna go with Vin Diesel.
It was actually Owen Wilson.
Okay.
Which is weird because you would think Vin Diesel, right? But for some reason, Transformers fans really believe in Owen Wilson's talent.
Cars 3, go see it.
I'm gonna flip on the other side of the spectrum. Who do they think is the best actress alive? Mila Jovovich, Mila Kunis, or Kristen Stewart?
No, even the worst of the worst people in society do not think Kristen Stewart's a good actress. I'm gonna go with Mila Kunis.
You're all for three, man. Mila Jovovich. They think that she was the star. So she is in the Resident Evil movies, and she's she's that girl.
Yeah, something about like Purple Violet or whatever. I remember her. Okay.
Yeah. What is the current favorite movie of Transformers fans? Is it A, Suicide Squad? B,
outside of Transformers, you're saying?
Outside of Transformers, yeah. A, Suicide Squad, B, Fast and Furious 6, Fast 7, or C, Baby Driver?
It's got to be Fast 7.
You locking it in?
I'm locking that in.
0 for 4, it's Suicide Squad!
That was totally reeking of a Gary. I can't. Nobody even likes this.
Do you think it's too good to be true? No, it's true. They love Suicide Squad. And last but not least, what is the favorite TV show of Transformers fans? Is it Prison Break, Supernatural, or Jersey Shore?
Jersey Shore's a bit dated. Prison Break, I got tired of it as soon as they got out of freaking prison. So, I'm going to have to go with, what was the... Supernatural?
Yeah, is that
Yeah, Supernatural.
You are 1 for 5.
There we go.
Supernatural. There you go. Really interesting, though, right? To get into the mind of a hardcore Transformers fan.
Yeah, I guess so. But, hey, at least I'm not scoreless, so there we go.
There you go.
All right, Gary, New Kids on the Block star and Blue Bloods actor Donnie Wahlberg left a massive tip of $2,000 for workers at a Waffle House in Charlotte. And Wahlberg posted a picture on Facebook of the tip handwritten on a mere $82.60 bill. The post read, "My mom waited tables and my dad tended bars for years. So when I walk into a Waffle House and the staff treats me like a king, you better believe I treat them like queens. Thanks to the team at the Waffle House in Charlotte, North Carolina." And he also posted a side picture of him with all the lovely Waffle House staff.
Oh.
Gary, you are a poor college student. I'm a poor college alum. So I can't imagine you have tipped an absurd amount yet. But what is the best tip you have ever received?
So as far as money goes, the best tip I've ever received so I used to be a pizza driver, and I drove on Christmas Eve. I got $80 from the night's old lady, which is like a huge deal because I usually get about 5.
Yeah.
But actually 2 days ago, somebody came into my work who is a manager at Harkins Theaters and tipped us with like a fat stack of free movie tickets.
There you go.
So that's the best tip I've ever gotten was movie tickets. I was
especially
so
now.
happy.
Now that you were
now that we see movies every week, yeah, it's gonna help out my wallet.
Quickly add up, yeah.
Right?
All right, your turn, sir.
So really sad, but ironic news. A woman was killed this last weekend by a jet engine blast on an island called Saint Martin. Maarten. Don't know how to pronounce that.
Okay.
So, she apparently on this island, it's a big tourist attraction to go stand at the airport behind a chain link fence. It's right on the beach, and these jets take off, and people try to hold on to the fence as the jet engine blows on them. I guess this lady, she was like 60 years old. She was flung off the fence against like a rock facing, and she died. Oh. So that's obviously a terrible tourist attraction, and I want to ask you, what is a popular tourist attraction that you think is just overrated?
Oh, it's by far the Grand Canyon.
No, being from Arizona, it's gotta be the Grand Canyon.
Far and away, a Grand Canyon's a mile away from the next second. It's the Grand Canyon. Let me tell you, as a kid, we took the best train ride up to the Grand Canyon. You get up there, and it's just a hole in the ground. That's all it is. And you make 8 separate stops for the freaking hole in the ground when just one would do, or you can even look at a picture and it's beautiful.
Same thing.
Same effect. I don't get it, and I'm sorry. I mean, if I'm in Arizona and we probably need the revenue for all those tourists to come here and waste their money too, but I'm so sorry. The Grand Canyon is just the worst. Absolutely the worst.
Dang, the Grand Canyon is like your Chris Pratt. Like
everything's like my Chris Pratt, but you know who's your Chris Pratt?
Chris Pratt
is Star-Lord. Chris Pratt, how dare you, sir? All right. Da-da. Da-da. Uber facts! Yeah! It's another, it's another Uber facts, Gary. This is the show, or the game, of course, where I've got 5 sets of facts for you. One of the 3 facts will be false from my own mind. You have to tell me which one's the fake fact.
Let's see if I can get you, because you didn't do good on my Transformers facts. Let's see if I can beat your score. Let's do it. Bring it on.
Let's see. Alright, so first up on the list, we've got fact number 1. Avocados are poisonous to birds, cats, dogs, rabbits, and basically all pets. Fact number 2. Stan Lee's real name is Stanley Lieber. And fact number 3, canine feces are considered to be an ingredient in war paint within Australia Aborigine tribes. Alright, so again, that's fact number 1. Avocados are poisonous to multiple animals. Stan Lee's real name is Stanley Lieber. And canine feces are considered to be an ingredient in war paint.
Stanley, false.
And he's off the board right off the bat. That is, I made up the canine feces. I don't even know if they have dogs down there in Australia, but you're off.
Kangaroos, same thing.
Canines, kangaroos, Alright, next fact set. The Aztecs used teeth from their fallen enemies as forms of currency. Fact number 2, you are likely to eat at least one baby wasp when you eat a fig fruit. And fact number 3, Batman once admitted to peeing on himself. Which one's the fake fact?
What was the first one again?
First one, the Aztecs used teeth from their fallen enemies as forms of currency.
Okay, I'm saying number 2.
You are likely to eat at least one baby wasp when you eat a fig fruit.
Correct.
That's the wrong one?
Correct.
You're wrong. You're the wrong one. I completely made up the Aztec teeth. That sounded right, though, right?
I was that's what they did. I remember reading about that in history class. That's what they did.
I remember reading that in not history class. All right. Fact. The next one. The man who invented red vines, licorice, actually ate a pack of Twizzlers every day. Fact number 2. Ben and Jerry's have their cows massaged as a part of treating them ethically. And fact number 3. In Japan, tipping a server is seen as insulting. Which one's the fake fact there, Gary?
God, that freaking cow one is so ridiculous, but Ben and Jerry's are such like humanitarians that it wouldn't surprise me. The first one, remind me one more time?
The man who invented red vines licorice actually ate a pack of Twizzlers every day.
I'm going with Japan.
You're saying Japan has just... Oh, whoa, sorry. I have another Japan one. In Japan, tipping a server is seen as insulting?
I'm saying that because I think that you took the tipping question and you made that up when your mind was on that. So
I just suicide squatted you because that is actually real. I completely made up the man who invented red vines.
Oh my god! All right, I got
0 for 3.
Hey, I'm doing just as good as you were. All
yes,
right,
I took it to the last one. Here we go.
If I can get these last 2 right, I'm gonna be the
face of
champion.
the Chopped Greens franchise.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Fact number 1: iguanas fart underwater. Fact number 2: in North Korea, jelly beans are outlawed for, quote, excessive flavor. In fact number 3, Japan has just 2 gun-related homicides per year. Which one's the fake fact?
A.
Iguanas fart underwater?
Yes.
You are 0 for 4, sir. North Korea may or may not outlaw jelly beans, but not for excessive flavor.
See, that's just a totally believable thing because they're so insane.
I completely believe it too. All right. Last one, and you better get one right or else you're going to be worse than me. So you're tying for excellence right now is what you're doing.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Aerosmith's I Don't Want to Miss a Thing was originally written for Celine Dion. Fact number 2, drinking grapefruit juice while taking certain medications can cause instant overdose and death. In fact number 3, a bumblebee's sting can actually cause a natural cast for broken bones. Which fact is the fake fact? Do you need them again?
Give me number 2 again.
Drinking grapefruit juice while taking certain medications can cause instant overdose and death.
That one is false.
You ready? Do you want to change your answer?
No, I don't. Don't play these mind games with me, man. Don't do it.
I really wish you did change your answer because I completely made up the bumblebee's sting can make a natural cast. It just sounds right? With all that, like, it would plump up.
Yeah, it would get swollen and it would hold everything in place, right?
I wonder if I'm ahead of my time. In 20 years,
I think
everybody will be doing it. But
yeah, I think that's what you're doing. You're taking, like, a future time capsule, bringing it back, and showing me things that aren't true yet. Yes.
If it were, like, the 700s, I would be rocking this.
Yeah.
Because I would say, the Earth is indeed round. And they'd all say,
no way.
No way.
No
that's
way.
the fake fact. And I'd be right. All right, 0 for 5. That's got to be a new record of ineptitude right there. Congratulations.
New record of ineptitude.
That's your new Twitter handle.
A new... let's go on to a new question.
A new question.
Of quesitude.
Oh.
So, this is actually hilarious news, even though I feel really bad for the guy that this happened to. A bank worker went to go, I guess, repair his bank's ATM. They have a door that leads to a room where the inside of the ATM can be accessed, and I guess he didn't bring his key or his phone in there with him, so he got locked in to this tiny, like, 2x2 room that's as big as, like, a janitor closet where you can access the ATM for, like, 3 hours, and so he finagled the receipt tape, and he wrote, "Please help me, call my boss, I locked myself in here," and he started feeding it through the receipt thing, and people thought it was a joke, so nobody called for 3 hours. Then eventually somebody let his boss know, and the fire department came, opened up the ATM, and let him out. Sounds like a terrible situation.
Oh my god!
Albeit hilarious, right?
It's hilarious,
but that's terrifying.
That he's all right.
But yeah, imagine if he would like died in the ATM. Like bank robbers go to rob it. Oh my god, there's a ghost.
Thank you. And then they just pop him.
So, have you ever been like trapped? This is my question for you in a situation like that. Maybe like locked in somewhere for hours, or left alone on accident by your parents, like I was at Disneyland, something like that.
Trapped. I feel like I've gotten the sense of being lost before. I used to live in New York, and man, taking the subways by yourself, it really doesn't matter at what age you are. If you go there and it's your first time going there and you're alone, and you're trying to take the red subway train all the way to the 1, and then you get onto the C subway train, and it's not the correct one that meets onto the gray line. It's insane. You can get lost pretty darn quick. I mean, again, everything's only a subway right away, but it's still, and everything's dirty. So I've had that feeling there. I believe when I was around, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there, I distinctly remember me staying and looking at some vending item at the Fry's Electronics checkout store, and my mom said, "Come on, Philip," and just kept going.
Just kept walking.
And I later found out that she kept an eye on me, just hid around the corner.
Oh.
But I kept looking at like the headphones or whatever it was that was enthralling to me so much, and then I finally look up and she's gone, and I kind of walk forward and she's not there, and I walk back and not there, and I had to go up to the front service desk, and it just totally horrified me. So there you go.
That would horrify me. If I lost my mom in Fry's Electronics, that place is terrifying.
At first it was cool. Until it wasn't. You can quote me on that. I won't copyright it. All right, Gary, it has been more than a year since Hasbro had promised to include a Rey piece following the backlash over her initial absence. This is, of course, in relation to Star Wars Monopoly, which, ironically, you have directly in a bucket behind you right over there. I just noticed it. And just walking in here. I know. Rey is, of course, the character portrayed by Daisy Ridley in Disney's reincarnation of Star Wars, episode, 7, A New Hope.
Whoa, The Force Awakens.
Oh, it was just basically...
Well, you just committed a cardinal sin. You're going to have to do 5 Hail Marys and 3 use the Forces.
It was essentially the same movie, but it's alright. The main character, of course, is who Daisy Ridley plays as Rey. However, people can acquire a Rey token from the company by contacting customer service. Hasbro officials have listed the source of the lack of updated tokens derives from a lack of interest in stores with an abundance of supply to take on new board games with the new piece. Gary, is Hasbro's lack of Rey in the Monopoly games a problem for you, or is it just part of the PC police outrage? And which board game is your favorite?
Well, I would like to see if they released a board game with like all the other new characters except for Rey, because if that was the case, then that's some BS, and they have an argument. But if it was just like, well, we didn't do Rey, but we also didn't do Finn, BB-8, I'd be like, okay, maybe it just wasn't working. So, I'd like to look into that first. My favorite board game is actually Risk, but not Risk. I have Star Wars Risk. And Star Wars Risk is the dopest game around. When you got a group of people who are just excited to sit down and strategize in the Star Wars universe, it's the most fun board game you can play.
Wow. This was totally unscripted, but I love Risk.
I love Risk.
I've never played Star Wars Risk.
It's the same thing, but it's Star Wars, so it's just 1,000 times better.
We're gonna have to bust this out sometime.
Dude, let's play Star Wars Risk.
Okay, right after this
podcast.
Now. Right now. Just
we're gonna break it out.
Podcast lasts like 5 more hours of us just being, I'm gonna take Tatooine. Roll. Alright. Your turn, Gary.
So, hot news out of Hollywood today.
Hot take!
We were just hearing about Zendaya and Tom Holland. Did you know that today it was announced that Tom Holland and Zendaya are dating?
What is
Both of them. They are together in a romantic courtship of love and spiders.
And publicity, but yes.
And publicity. Well, they're trying to keep it on the DL. It was leaked by a source.
I bet it was.
My question
what
to you.
movie just opened up that might need a second helping at the week of box offices to make sure it goes on and becomes a stable franchise?
Oh, geez, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, just coincidental timing. But
totally.
Go ahead.
My question to you is, will they last? Why or why not? Are they going to be the new It couple? Are they going to be Brad and Angelina without all the bad stuff?
No, they're not going to be the new It couple, but I'll tell you how long it lasts.
They would be so cute together.
Avengers Infinity War comes out next year, so theoretically Spider-Man 2 will come out in, 2 years, 3 years maybe? By then, Mary Jane will be replaced by Gwen Stacy. Okay, so I'm talking about maybe... Oh, wait, they're both young. I'll give it 3 years. 3 years.
3 years? I want them to get married and have beautiful little spider babies. I'm saying it right now. I'm calling it.
Do you think they'll lay eggs?
Yes.
That's a little inside joke.
Calling that one
the
too.
Movie. All right. Fair enough. My last question, Gary. Today is French Fry Day, National French Fry Day.
I love it.
Crinkle cut or just regular? Where's your favorite French fry?
Dude, not crinkle cut. No, I like those thick, like steak fries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anywhere in particular?
Let's see. I like Red Robin's fries. There's a place called Lenny's Burgers around Phoenix. They have great fries. I hate crinkle cut fries because it makes me think of elementary school.
Okay.
And they were always soggy. They were warm but never crunchy. They were soft and soggy.
I love soggy fries. All right. Anyways, though, and despite its heavy association with France, the French fry is actually a Belgium creation from the late 1600s. I'm going to give you some foods that are heavily associated with a country or culture, and you tell me whether they are from where they are suggested to be from or not.
Okay.
All right, here we go. 5 of these. Some good old American pie. Is that an American creation or not?
I'm guessing it's probably German or something, so no, it's not American.
It is not. It was brought over by the English in the 1600s.
Okay.
Next one. Some delicious French toast.
Yes, French.
No! The first written mention of the delicacy comes from the court of Henry V of England. So England's getting a lot of love here. Some cold, dead sushi. Is it Japanese or not?
Yes.
It is. It absolutely is. It began 2,000 years ago when rice cultivation came to Japan. Luke writes, favorite food, tacos. Are tacos from Mexico, Gary?
Oh, God. Yes?
Absolutely they are. They originated from the Baja, California, in then Mexico. All right, and then lastly, the food with some beads, gumbo. Was gumbo originally from New Orleans, or as they like to say, New Orleans?
Down in the bayou.
That is actually. I was thinking that was horrible, and then I remembered Mushmouth. So
I've been to New Orleans. They all talk like this in the bayou. Not all of them, but anyways, no, not from New Orleans. I'm guessing it's from Canada or France or something like that.
Canada or okay? First off, yes, no. I think you aced that test. That's you know your food. Go you.
Thank you.
But it was originally brought over by African slaves in 1764.
Oh, well, not exactly Canada or France, but
no, pretty much a little too north for
yeah, a lot too far north.
Yeah, but good try. Good try there, Gary. All right, that's all I have. What do you got?
Last question. Mine is actually a food thing as well.
Fantastic.
So, a new study that was just published has found that children's mac and cheese many brands have toxic chemicals in the powdered cheese.
Oh.
That can cause brain damage, all that good stuff.
What a horrible new information.
Right? So, I have mac and cheese trivia for you.
Delicious! I love it. I love.
See how well you know your mac and cheese.
I actually think you have some cheese pizza out there that I've been thinking about.
Ooh, I was eyeing that too.
Yes.
I got
some
3
cheese and Star Wars Risk. I'm sorry, I'll keep it.
Cheese and Risk. No, you're good. That sounds amazing. With mac and cheese and some maybe mozzarella sticks. Oh my god!
Oh,
all right.
Grilled cheese.
Tomato soup.
You got away from the cheese, man.
But it's a good combo.
Like Cheese Whiz, maybe.
Cheese Whiz. Oh no, I'm not trying to die tonight.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, come on.
3 questions, 3 facts, 2 false, 1 true about mac and cheese. You ready?
I was born ready.
Question 1. Kraft sells more than 1 million boxes of mac and cheese per day.
Oh, per day.
2. Mac and cheese actually originated in Latin America, not Italy. 3. Surprisingly, mac and cheese has never made the PBS list of children's top 10 foods.
And one of these is fake, or two of these are fake?
Two of these are fake. One of them is true. You gotta find the true one.
Oh, the true one? What was number one?
Kraft sells more than 1 million boxes of mac and cheese a day.
That's gotta be true. I'm gonna say true.
Solid. That is the true one. Number 2. Half of America's kids eat mac and cheese at least once a week.
Okay.
Mac and cheese has been voted America's #1 comfort food for 10 years in a row. Number 3, in Hong Kong, mac and cheese is traditionally a breakfast food.
Hong Kong, I might have believed it if you said Seo Karishma, because I don't think you would have come up with something like that. So I'm gonna go again. I think you're trying to stuff up the answer box in number 1. So I'm gonna say number 1. Fact number 1.
It's actually the Hong Kong one. In Hong Kong, mac and cheese is a breakfast food. They serve it with sausage and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Really weird. Number 3. The number 1 selling mac and cheese shape besides the traditional one is A, SpongeBob, B, Scooby-Doo, or C, Star Wars. Which mac and cheese out of those? Number 1
It's
selling?
SpongeBob, by far. That appeals to adults and children.
Boom! Correct. 2 out of 3. You know your mac and cheese.
I love me some mac and cheese. I love me some mac and cheese.
Let's go get some cheese, man.
Let's go. All right, so this has been a fantastic Give Me 5 before we leave. Next week, we are reviewing something I've been hyped for all summer.
I wasn't hyped, but now I actually really, I need to see.
Have you seen the first two?
Not the second one. I'm gonna have to watch it.
It gets so much better.
I'm excited.
I don't know. I don't think Ruby's seen either of the first two. My girlfriend.
We should have a marathon. Just like the first two. It's just 4 hours. Sit down for 4 hours.
It's just 4 hours. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It's hard. It's hard to carve out just straight 4 hours worth of time.
It is.
But if we did, I would bring over popcorn. So hopefully we can get something going.
Love your popcorn.
Are you just happy to see me, or are you looking at my popcorn?
Well, I'm just looking at your popcorn.
Oh, I don't blame you. All right. After this has just gotten weird, we will be seeing War of the Planet of the Apes.
War for the Planet of the Apes.
There was Rise of Planet of the Apes. There was Dawn of Planet of the Apes. And now it's War of the Planet of the Apes, which is awesome.
I'm stoked.
I would see the War of the Jelly Beans if it was advertised as such.
War of the Jelly of the Beans.
War of the Jelly and the Beans, which is outlawed in North Korea, little did you know.
Did you know that?
All right, for Chopped Greens, thank you so much for listening. Of course, listen to all of our archived episodes on YouTube. And, of course, you can always catch our newest episodes on SoundCloud, updated each week. For the show, this has been
Gary Boucher.
I am Philip Amerine, about to go eat a slice of cheese pizza.
Bye.